This is Attorney Sharp Raleigh, and we're going to discuss a little bit about the application of your visa at the U.S. Embassy. And I've used this video is made at the courtesy of the U.S. Consulate in Hyderabad, but although I'm going to use many parts of this video for fair use, I am going to discuss a little bit about the intricacies of the visa interview at the US Embassy because although the video seems to be very smooth, very easy, there are a lot of issues that we are facing at the interview. But I'm going to go ahead and continue them forward a little bit, the movie, and basically bring you to the point where that person pretty much enters the building and they start the fingerprint part. And so they give you a token first, and with that token, you 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 will you will basically go to the security check, and then from there they will do a fingerprint with you, and after that, then they will proceed to call you at a later stage. As you can see here, um, this is the first step. Now you're reaching the counter, and you have those four fingers, right fingers here that are mentioned, and but unfortunately now this is pretty much the easy way. You wait for your number, and here it is. People don't really need to know that part because that's just so. Now you reach the counter. At the counter, then they are going to ask you a bunch of questions. How long you're going to the USA? Where will you stay? How long are you going to visit? But there might be a lot of tricky questions that they will be also um, ask you. For example, the officer can look at the documents, or they can refuse to even look at your document. So the problem is it's at their discretion, and this is a very good warning here. Look at this warning. Presenting documents or making representation to the consular officer is against the law. Warning: not being truthful may result in a lifetime ban. And here, basically, ban on getting a U.S. visa. So bottom line here, it's very very important because under 212, lying and misrepresenting to the US officer, that cause all the problems. But I'm just quickly going over this video to give you an idea that they actually were good enough to basically provide this video. But unfortunately, for those who have gone through this, oftentimes it's not that such an easy situation. So now the question is, what can you expect as questions? Depending what kind of visa you're filing, either it's a DS-160 or DS-260, the questions might be different. The usual questions, if you're coming on a B1, B2 visa, visitor visa, for example, where will you stay? How are you going to pay for your trip? Who's going to pay for your trip? Do you have family in the United States? Do you have spouse in the United States? Are you going to come back? So the question are very relevant to the law. For one, what they are talking about, do you have the means to pay? It's your affidavit of support, if you have one, Form I-134 for a DS-160. Or for those who are just coming on an H-1B visa, the questions are very different. If you're coming on an H-1B visa and you're working for a consulting company, the questions will be related to the job. Where are you going to work? The end client, if you're working with an end client, and also they might even call the the consulting company to make sure you're working there. And unfortunately, that's not now. Things are not that smooth like we see in this video. And that video was published, by the way, by the U.S. Consulate in Hyderabad. But unfortunately, things are not that smooth oftentimes, and you can encounter situations where you want to present documents and they will refuse it. In fact, in that video itself, if you look at it, I think here she's going to refuse certain documents on your case. So you need to move fast. Some tips here: make sure you have all your documents handy. Like it says here, officers have limited amount of time to talk to each other, so they don't really, they expect you to have really everything ready. That means if you have any documents that you want to provide, make sure you have a copy with you. They're not going to make copies for you. And then, of course, at the end of the day, whether you're applying for B1 B2 visa. H1B is ultimately at their discretion to give it to you, but the B1 B2 is more discretionary than other visas, so it's a little bit more difficult to get. Having said that, if you're lucky, sometimes luck plays a big role. You might get a chance. The US council, the officer at the counter will issue your visa. Now, if you have some kind of criminal background and it's popping up, so they might request you to do a waiver, if depending what are you filing. If you're filing DS 260 for family petitions, for example, they might require a 601 waiver. Or if you're coming on a non-immigrant visa, they might ask for a 212 waiver. Unfortunately, there's no real answers to give on those, except tell the truth, don't lie, and don't bring fake documents, because each fake documents will be recorded. It will become a problem even they give you a visa at a later stage. So it's better to try with no documents than to try with fake documents. Tips number one. Number two, make sure you're ready. You don't go like you don't know where your paperwork are, because they will lose their patience and they will tell you to go because other people are waiting. Three, make sure you fill the forms properly, and you make sure you bring your receipts of your DS 160, and also make sure you're bringing a valid passport. Bottom line questions that they ask, usually if you see it, most of their questions are related to you coming back if it is on a B1 B2 visa. On H1B it's related mostly to the work. On L1 visa it's related to the company oftentimes, and the worker. And ultimately the other visas just follow. Family petitions, green card, the questions are very different. If it is a marriage petition, so you be ready to prove your marriage, including that pictures with your spouse, letters between each other, emails, chats. You bring whatever it takes. If they ask for it, you can show it to the officer. At the end of the day, if you look at it here, the video continues. Bottom line, after the interview is conducted, they make you sign, then you will get an email usually if the case is approved or not, or they will call you. Sometimes they will call you. We have seen where they call people. I'm trying to find this in the video. You can watch the whole video, by the way, on the US Consulate website. But I'm giving my take on that because this one is a video which they make everything seem so beautiful and easy, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. And they tell you if you get a certain kind of paper, it might be a denial. If not, it might be an approval. It used to be colored paper, but now they don't really follow the colors. But the main thing is don't present any fake documents. And if you need help in preparing, I would recommend that you basically, bottom line is not about preparing you, it's about telling the truth and answering the questions right, because there's a lot of issues that can come up after that. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, anything I'm telling you today is for educational purposes only. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. And this is a video that I put in here, is basically with the courtesy of the US Consulate. And since it is public domain, I was just using it to guide you. But bottom line, it's not that easy, so you need to make sure you're ready. Good luck to all of you. I wish you all the best.